YouTube, and welcome back to my channel here at AZ Ruction. If you're not part of the asshole family, go ahead, join, click, subscribe, comment, hit that bell notification, whatever you gotta do to make sure that you get all this new content coming your way. Also, make sure that we give my man right here, Gnarly Knuckles, a huge shout out. Go give him a follow. Hey, give him some love. Hey, he's the genius behind the asshole family thing, man. That shit was funny as hell. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much. Hey, guys, go give him a follow. Serve his bell a hot one real quick so that you get all of his content. Show him some love. Thank you. And as always, please, hey, if you or anybody you know is having any kind of an addiction problem and you want to get them or yourself some help, then you know what to do. Leave a comment below or hit me in the DM if you want to keep it private. With that being said, hey, let's move along. Today we're going to be doing the lame of the week. Boy, let me tell you what. Today we're going to be doing somebody from Arizona who just happened to be my cellie. Put him right here. Alright, his name is Jamin Easton. Yes, congratulations, sir. Go ahead, walk on up. You have made the lame of the week. And I'm going to tell you guys why. I've also got the tickets. We got a little bit of stuff here. And then I'm going to explain to you a few of the things that are going to transpire for this man. Well, so to speak. So, here's what it is. This is the cellie that I'll never forget too. I never will forget any of my cellies, really. But this one will be remembered for different reasons. See what I'm saying? So look, one of my cellies had just gotten moved. He got reclassified. So he was getting moved and he was in that process. So they moved him, and I didn't have a cellie for about 2 or 3 weeks. Now, when you are locked up like that, anytime you're locked down or whatever, and they have the cell door locked on you, you're in close custody. When somebody new comes to your cell, you always want to be the first to unhandcuff, because you don't know who you're getting right away. Unless somebody knows them when they walk onto the run, you just don't know. So they could be a piece of shit or whatever, and they know that they're going to get handled. So you always want to make sure that you uncuff first. So with that being said, I'm sitting there chilling. I know I'm going to get a cellie any day. So, with that being said, you're booted and you're suited. You're always, ready to go when you get that new cellie. So I hear the doors open. My cell was literally... It was next to the showers, but it was, catty corner to the door, to the slider to come, for them to come in. So everybody's like, "Hey, Wood, you got a cellie coming in." So, of course, I already got my slides on and all that. And I go ahead and put on my deck shoes. And I fucking go up to the cell door and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on, Wood? Hey, how you doing, bro? Blah, 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 blah." Just kind of bullshit, trying to feel him out, see what's going on. So I'm observing everything. You know what I mean? Just as you always do. You observe, and you take mental notes. All right? So with that being said, I'm telling Jamin Easton, I'm looking at him and I'm talking to him, and he turns around to talk to the cop real quick, and on the back of his pants, I see a yard written on there. With that being said, the reason why I bring that up is because the yard that I had seen written in marker on his pants was never a good yard. It's always been a PC yard or an SO yard. They kept switching it back and forth. Anyways, with that being said, boom. Red flags going off. Spidey senses just pow, 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 pow. You know what I mean? So that's already, with me, I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. You know what I mean? So he comes in, but he didn't like it because I shoved my way in there. Uncuff first. Boom. You know what I mean? I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't about to let nobody uncuff before me. And so, I uncuff and I'm talking to him, whoop, whoop. We're just going and getting to feel each other out. And so he comes, he uncuffs and we start talking, you know what I mean? He doesn't have his paperwork on him. He didn't have a bunch of his shit. So me, I was already like, all right, here we go again. This is something else that, so shit just keeps piling up. You know what I mean? Within the first day, he was just super sus. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why he had came over was because he had started fighting another race in Chow Hall. So for those of you that don't know, in Arizona, at least on the GP, you cannot do that. That's a form of dry snitching. Well, it is dry snitching. It's a form of snitching called dry snitching. It's telling without telling. Okay? So, I was never able to confirm why he did that. That's usually a type of thing that a motherfucker will do to, kind of like undercover PC up and whatnot. That they know that's a no-no. You know what I mean? And he was supposedly he came from Stickum Steiner. Now, Stickum Steiner, obviously, the name says it all. It got that reputation for being stuck. It used to be a poppin' yard. Now it's, I don't know, I know it's not that anymore. It got changed. I don't know what it is. It's been a while. So, they also closed down Murder Maury. I believe he was actually on Maury. Well, yeah, he was on Maury. Because he was on, he came to Max. So with that being said, that was already sus right there. And he didn't have his ticket on him. He didn't have any of that. Okay? So yes, when you get moved, sometimes it takes 2 weeks, a month and a half to get your property. Okay? So we get that. We understand that. But the thing is that you usually want to go with your paperwork and this, that, and the other. You usually want to have that hand in hand. Usually the cops will make sure that you get it because they know that it's mandatory. You got to have that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So he was around some dickhead cops, but whatever. Now, keep in mind, I got a big homie that's upstairs, so I hop up to the vent, and I'm talking to him, and I'm telling him, like, yo, man, what the fuck, we're talking kind of quietly, but he knows I'm sorry, but I'm just like, hey, man, we're just playing it cool, and I'm like, hey, he came from such and such on the back of his pants, he has this written on him, and immediately he's like, and he gets off his rack, and he's like, hey, let me talk to him, please. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I thought I was gonna have to, go ahead and take care of this fool. Because all he was going to do, because he told me if anything happens, if you hear me say, get him, get him. So I was, standing off the table. He's standing on the table talking in the vent to him. I'm waiting. I'm expecting to hear get him. So I was just going to grab that dude. Thank God. It didn't happen because it would have been all bad. Because I was just going to grab that dude and fucking yank him off. Whap! So he would have came face down first. So now keep in mind that these are the things that you have, that you're going to be required to do if you're solid in your GP in an Arizona prison yard. Now that could have gotten me a lot more time. So keep in mind that things like this happen. And you got to handle that shit if you're solid and you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? And little things like that can catch you more time. So with that being said, nothing happened yet. Well, he goes to the showers the next day, and we're talking in the vent, you know what I mean? And he's just telling me, he's like, nah, let's just keep it chill for right now. He had already made bad impressions with the first thing on the run. You know what I mean? It was almost like he didn't know no etiquette of any kind. You know what I mean? Because when I say etiquette, if there are people talking on the run and you need to talk to somebody, you don't just hop out on the run and start saying something. You have to announce out, you have to, hey, excuse me on the run. Can I say something, And they'll be like, yeah. But usually you're not going to interrupt somebody's conversation anyways. Unless it's just real quick and like, hey, hey, Woods, shoot down real quick. Hey, sorry about that. You guys go ahead. You know what I mean? Even when you're hopping out onto the clusters. Excuse me on the run. Excuse me on the cluster. Pod 3. Holds. You know what I mean? And then that's when the white boys will know, you'll hear them. Excuse me on the run. Excuse me on the cluster. Hey, now. Or whoever, everybody has their own answering type thing. You know what I mean? So there's always an etiquette. And he would just hop out on the run first day. He wasn't introducing himself. And usually when somebody doesn't introduce themselves right away, that's always a bad sign. That's not a good look, you know, because that's usually one of the first things you do. Hey, my name is such and such. You know what I mean? I'm from this yard, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? You always, and you know, you always give your DOC number, whatever. You know what I mean? You always identify yourself. You know what I mean? And he wasn't trying to do all that. So off top, that's already sus. I was already like, you know, shit just kept going and going and going. Now, he was hard to jail with. And when I say jail with, I mean like follow the rules. You know, I'll put the tickets up. You know what I mean? We're going to put them up. I'll put them up here actually in a little bit. But I'll put them up just so that you guys can see it for now. You know what I mean? But check this out. So when I say jail, I mean programmed together. Like, you know what I mean? You got to have some sort of where you guys kind of will get along and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? Even if on some stuff you guys don't agree with, but usually you guys will come to a middle point. Now, this dude, C, and Max, we, you know, not everybody does, but most, especially Woods, most of us, we sit down and pee because we don't get all those cleaning chemicals. So it's unsanitary for us to stand up because most motherfuckers ain't gonna sit there and pee in the toilet. You know, it's gonna pee in the toilet and it's gonna go everywhere else. You know how it goes, motherfuckers be doing that shit. It's just unsanitary, so we sit down to pee. Well, he was always, you know, he was standing up, so we almost got in a little squabble just over that. You know what I mean? I almost put the tippers on him just for that one right there because I had asked, I told him the rules, like, hey, look, this is what it is for this cell. Because usually the person who had the cell first, unless it's somebody like a big dog or, you know, somebody usually with an older number that's like much older, you know what I mean? That's like an OG or something, you know. Usually you guys will work and bend on the rules. Or if it's just a big dog, sorry, your rules go out that cell. You know, it's how they program, you know what I mean? So I broke it down for him and I was telling him stuff, you know, and he would just do stuff that people know that it's a generalized rule, you know what I mean? Like he would fart. We almost fought because he farted while we were eating. It's a small cell, come on, you know what I mean? Fecal matter in the air, you know what I mean, as they say. So that's why you don't fart while you guys are eating. You don't flush the toilet while you're eating because you're in a small cell. You guys are eating at the table. Somebody's on the bunk. You know what I mean? Usually I sat on the bunk because I had the bottom and he had the top, so I let him sit at the table to eat. I sat on my bunk, but not all the way on because you don't like to eat on your bunk. You don't want bugs and shit coming in there. But anyways, so we had already almost gotten into, you know, a few fights, and I know he was scared of me. Because when I would try and call him out, he wouldn't want to, you know what I mean? He wouldn't engage with me, you know what I mean? And because, like I said, we'd almost gotten into it a few times. And whatever it was that he said, I don't even remember those couple of times, but they had little boy shook. So we get into an argument. You're not allowed to sit there and be like, fuck you. You got to keep it down. You know what I mean? Because that's a form of dry snitching for Woods. You can't be doing shit like that. Anything that's going to alert the one time, you can't be doing that. You know what I mean? So they consider, you know, it's really strict for the Woods over here. You know what I mean? So you'll see as I make more videos, you're going to see how strict this shit is. So check this out. We get into it big. I'm doing everything that I can. You guys got to remember, you call somebody a bitch in Arizona or a punk, that's off top. You know what I mean? There's no apologize. You guys can fight about it, but there's no, all right, my bad, I didn't mean to. No. It's mandatory. You got to fight it, or else you're going to get looked at funky. And you don't want that. You know what I mean? So keep in mind, people, these are all the type of things, there's little tiny things that people don't think about that you got to deal with when you get locked up, especially in Arizona. You know what I mean? There's a lot of little tiny rules. So, hey, remember, you're in prison for not following the rules. So just keep that in mind. You want to go somewhere else where you have to follow 2 types of rules, but really you got to follow your people's rules over the DOC rules. Keep that in mind. You know what I mean? Think about it. Put these little things together with what I just said. All this shit will add up to you. At least I hope so. So I'm calling this dude a bitch. All kinds of shit. Just trying to get him off the rack. Because I just had enough. I don't even remember what we were arguing about. But, I mean, this dude couldn't even read. I was trying to help him, teach him how to read, teach him how to write. Even though I didn't like him. Just because you don't like somebody, that doesn't mean that you can just smash them out like that. That makes you, you know, that'll put you in a bad light. You depending on who's running the yard or who's in charge of that area you're at, either they can make you no good or they can just have you get a hot one. You know what I mean? A little punishment, DP. So discipline, you know? So there's a lot of little things you got to tread lightly on. You can't just be doing certain shit. You know what I mean? That's why when he fought against that race, you can't be doing that. That shit has to be sanctioned. It has to be talked about when you're fighting another race. It doesn't work that way. You can't just haul off and just start fucking dinking on somebody on another race. It just don't work that way. You definitely can't do it in a chow hall or a day room like that. You know what I mean? In on most yards. You know what I mean? So lower custody yards, you can get away with certain things like that. But he was on a higher custody is what you guys got to keep in mind. So with that being said, he's not trying to come up off that rack. And I'm like, get the fuck down. You know what I mean? I'm fucking, I'm hot. I don't even, like I said, I don't even remember what it was over. It was probably over nothing because we were just at the point where, like, it was just getting to where I just wanted to fight him for any reason. He was so dumb. This fool would say the dumbest fucking shit. And then I was getting letters from other races, like, you know, the Mexicans. They were hitting me up like, hey, why is he putting our like symbols and shit at the end of his name when he's sending us kites? I'm like, yo, I don't even know, bro. That's fucking weird. Cause you're not supposed to, that's not for him to do. That's for, you know, the symbols he was using. That's for the Mexicans to be like, you know, that's their way of saying, you know, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like their ending thing. And he was using it. So he was just doing all this weird shit, you know what I mean? And big homie upstairs started hearing about all these little things from other races and shit like, hey, why is he doing it? And they were hitting me up and him. So he was already, you know, not really trying to have all that, you know what I mean? He didn't know that homie upstairs knew all this shit, you know what I mean? So I'm like, man, I'm telling him, I'm like, hey, I said, as soon as you get off this rack, I'm fucking you up. As soon as you get off. So he wouldn't come off. And he said something, he mumbled something. I remember I hopped up off from underneath my, you know, I was on my rack, but I hopped up, you know, I was on the bottom. So I hopped up and I turned around. I said, what'd you fucking say? And he wouldn't repeat it. So I fucking remember I jumped up on my rack and tried to grab his foot. I tried to yank him back, but I missed. So I jumped off the rack because I didn't want him to kick me in the face. And as soon as all that happened, all of a sudden Chow comes in. So we had to play it cool. This is literally Chow comes in like 3 or 4 minutes later. I'm fucking shaking. You know what I mean? Like I've got adrenaline going. I'm just fucking, whoo. So with that being said, I'm standing there and normally, and I didn't really think about it, but normally I was letting him go grab the trays first, but I went and grabbed it first. Normally I would grab the tray first, but he went up and grabbed the tray first this time. And normally, you know, I didn't even think about it because you have routines. You know what I mean? You get into a routine with somebody, you know. Sometimes, you know, we take turns who has to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to get the sacks and put them on the fucking, you know, on the table. That was something else. He would never wake up. You know what I mean? I would have to get up. Little shit. Our agreements, he just wouldn't do. Bad cellie. Bad cellie. Fucking, that dude pissed me off so many times. But anyways, so as soon as I go to grab my tray, now keep in mind, I'm going to put it right here. This is one that's similar to it. It's not the exact same. This one's actually thicker. But the one that he got me with was like this big and it was thinner. All of a sudden, I feel this like bink in the back of my head. I mean, it didn't even hurt. You know what I mean? Like, and it was weird. So I turned around I remember I just grabbed that dude, and I grabbed him and fucking just threw him on the ground, bow! And then I was on top of him, bow! And he started squirming out, because he was a little guy. And you guys also got to keep in mind that when you're a solid GP wood like that, you cannot just do that in front of a cop. That's snitching. You cannot use a weapon, and you're not allowed to hit him from behind like that. So he had extra strikes added to it. Just a little tidbit. So I had him in the headlock, and that's when they just started, they were yelling at us, get off of him, get off each other, blah, blah, blah. And you're not allowed to stop. So I had to keep going. I had to keep hitting them, even though they're telling me to stop. It doesn't matter. See, these are the little things. You can't just stop because the cops come in. I got to keep going until they make me stop. And when I say they make me stop, I'm talking when they fucking mace my whole face. They had a big old fogger. You know what I mean? There was like 4 or 5 of them in there. 2 or 3 of them are fogging us. And we're still going until we just couldn't go no more. Now, I think he got me like 1 time on the chin or something like that, but it didn't even do that. He didn't even leave a mark. Now, that was another type of PC move, okay? That's a behind the scenes sneaky type motherfucking shit. You know what I mean? That's their way of PCing up without PCing up, because he did it in front of a cop. Now, here's the thing. Now, could have got out of the ticket, but I couldn't, because all I had to do was say that he attacked me first. Even though the cop was still standing there, I had to say that he hit me first, but I couldn't. So I had to eat that ticket. You know what I mean? So you can't give no kind of statement like that. You can't do nothing like that. That's snitching. So they pulled us out, obviously. We're handcuffed up now. They're pulling us out. Everybody's yelling, yeah, Wood! Yeah, fuck that fool, guy! Everybody's fucking going crazy, you know what I mean? Because everybody hated that dude. Now, one person in that fucking pod liked that dude. It was almost like he would just do shit on purpose. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, we're sitting there, we're waiting in medical. I can hear, dude, I'm up against the door, you know what I mean? I can hear this dude sitting there fucking, talking to the cops. Oh, yeah, this stuff, he's from Cali. Oh, yeah, this stuff is way different than California, blah, blah, blah. Man, it's just crazy, you know, just having a good old time talking to them boys, you know what I mean? And so they took me back. As I'll post them again, you know, here's them tickets. So, Jamin Easton, if you're watching this, you already know, player. You ain't no good. And you know this. You know this. And these are facts. So, hey, man, that is why you made Lame of the Week, player. Hey, man, thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, if you are not part of the asshole family, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you guys can get all of this new content coming your way. Hey, you guys have a good one.